Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me for another Tales from the Crypt review. Today it is Season 2, Episode 3, Cutting Cards, directed by Walter Hill, and starring Lance Henriksen as Reno Crevice, and Kevin Tighe as Sam Forney. And there will be episode spoilers in this review, as always, just a heads up on that. And it's also notable that Walter Hill also directed the premiere episode of Tales from the Crypt, The Man Who Was Death, in Season 1. And I have to say, well, I liked that episode a lot. I am not a big fan of cutting cards. This seems to be a pretty popular episode, but for me, it just doesn't really work. It wastes the performances of two solid actors with a pretty simple premise, which I guess is okay in theory, but there's just not a lot to this episode. And even though it's very short, I don't think the execution of the plot is that good either. So we start in a casino with one of our lead characters, Reno, and we find out he's some kind of big-time gambler, or at least he says he is, and he also doesn't like another man that's there by the name of Sam. And we also learn that he's another big-time gambler, so they're kind of like rivals. And this is pretty much the setup of the episode. So they interact with each other eventually, and they insult each other a lot and get each other going. So they agree to start playing, gambling against each other. So they both roll dice, basically, and they get 12s. This really sets off Reno, who says they should settle this another way. And they play a game of Russian roulette, which I have to say goes on a very long portion of the episode. And it's not that suspenseful, in my opinion. No one loses, but you kind of figure they won't because there's still quite a bit of the episode left after this. So this sets off another argument about the gun and all kinds of other things. So ultimately this leads to both men playing a game of chop poker, which yes, you basically lose body parts, limbs, however you want to say it, every time you lose a hand. So Reno wins a couple times, and then predictably Sam wins, and it's all pretty gruesome, but that's pretty much it. And then we get a final scene, which was kind of amusing and slightly saves the episode, where both men are arguing and playing checkers, and it looks like neither one has any limbs. Although I'm not sure if we're supposed to take this literally, because I'm not really sure how they continued to hack off each other's limbs after they were without hands, but maybe the dealer did it. I don't know. But this episode just doesn't work for me. I can kind of see how some people would like it, but it's just over the top, and to me the plot isn't that interesting. The one good thing about this episode is it is very short. It's only like 20 minutes long, so at least it's like they acknowledge, the writers, that there wasn't much to this episode. Overall, Cutting Cards just falls flat for me, even with two solid performances, and I give it a 1.5 out of 5. And in my opinion, this is definitely a skippable episode unless you're a fan that's watching every single episode, but it seems like a lot of people like this one, so maybe you want to give it a try anyway. But for me, this episode is a miss. So a 1.5 out of 5 for Cutting Cards, and as always, thank you very much for watching.